Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
And we're just looking at not a whole lot going on during our session. We have maybe a little bit of reaction in the CAD at 8:15, but other than that, be aware today's Friday. Bankers, especially bankers and larger guys in corporates, they don't work really hard after lunch. So if you're going to be trading, you probably want to do it more in the morning than you do in the afternoon. That doesn't mean momentum in your trades won't work out, but it looks like we got everything pretty well situated. When we go back to our Hercules tool, we're looking at the Euro Aussie as our, not Euro, but Euro Aussie or US Aussie, US Aussie, US Aussie, US Aussie. So it's pretty obvious which one we want to go with. We always want to look at the highest to the lowest if we possibly can get. You want these three against these three and as big a spread as you can get. I already jumped into this a little bit early, so we can jump in to show you what I did. You can see that I'm getting ready to hit my first target. I did an aggressive entry here because I think this supply zone that was created here that you see was not there when I did that. But I was looking on a lower time frame and seeing that this probably was going to be the place. And it had broke. Normally what happens for me when it breaks below the red, I usually will say if it closes above the 23, I'll be going long again and I'd have to wait for a reclose below here. But something in my gut, this is one of those contingency factors. The Hercules tool, the structure of how everything was, this is a nice little M as well. I just felt like this was going to continue down. So I went ahead and put an entry here, but I also backed it up with two other stacking in. So this is a very small position. I'll add to it if it happens to get back up here. And then at this point, when we get to this point in price, we may want to reconsider, depending on what the level is. And a better one is right here if Hercules tells us that that's the way to go. So since we're already in this trade, and we're sitting in demand, so I would expect it to come down here, pop back up. So I'm already in. I would, if you're not in, I wouldn't get in right here. I would try to get in higher up, say the 74.23 area. I wouldn't get in normally if this would blast down, then I'd get in at the 74.19, but we're sitting around on demand until that's gone. You really don't want to be getting in right here. Once we close this candle in 15 minutes, if it stays down below the red, then we shift our retracement tool to the next third. So right now, currently our playground's still up in this third, but it will be down here and there's clear air. That's why I was saying this morning, I just wanted to get in because it was starting to structure an M and we have nothing down here. And when I say nothing, there's not a whole lot. I like to go at least 30 minutes to see if there's anything down there, and you'll notice there's not. And I had my stop this morning right up here, and it just popped right in and did its thing. Notice nothing, clear air. So if this thing breaks down, we're going to have our natural fib numbers here, and those will be the natural places we would expect for price to stop. We have to still respect these two right here, but as far as true solid demand or support, this is it, 73.57 area. Let's go to the 1 hour just to be curious and see what we got. That's as far as I would go if I'm trading. There's our resistance. It's the same one we're looking at on the 15. Let's see if we got clear air below. There's our first one. So when we're looking at this, it's at the 50 mark. Remember I said the 50 was important on all time frames? There, it's at the 50. So we would expect, if I were to tell you how it was going to play out, most likely, unless somebody decides to change the rules of the game, it's going to come through here, bounce, wave around here a little bit, come through here and do the ebb and flow. But this is where we're going to have the most hesitation. And then if it breaks this, then we're going to go down to the green. At that point, we can very well bounce back up. Remember, the real playground is this entire blue to blue. We want to make our money from green to red, this little area, the meat of it. And you could say from middle up 50 to 50 is really our main playground. Down here, you want to be very careful. And way up here, you want to be very careful. But our big playground is blue to blue. Our small playground is in between, kind of taking the meat of the trade. So let's just drop back down to 15. Then we'll go check our Hercules tool again. Expected bounce. Great movement down, but expected bounce. It's not doing anything abnormal. I got that song in my head now. With a little luck, we can work it out. A little bit of the Wings. Paul McCartney and the Wings.
My word.
How my brain knows that stuff is just beyond me. I don't listen that all. I guess I do, but I just don't pay attention to it. I mean, there's songs. I can't remember my daughter's name, and I can come up with a 1970s song. I call them everything. First, I start them off with Piper, and that's my dog. And then I call him Kim. Then I usually switch the two. It's the craziest thing. Age is a killer.
I'm sure Kim would appreciate that.
Yeah. We call her
have anything to do with age. It's just a matter of after a while, they all jumble together.
They all, yeah.
It's in the same house. You, Frank, whoever you are. Get over here.
You know your name. I named you a long time ago. That's what I say. Kiwi, Euro. I'm not liking this Swiss up here. Euro. Yikes. I'm in a Euro pound trade. So let's look at that one. Since that one's kind of fits the parameter, but it's kind of getting messy. So my bet is it looks messy on our chart. Oh, yeah. That's kind of messy. I'm in a long and had this strong pullback. Got my secondary entry right here. So it's nothing that's scaring me. I had my aggressive small just to make me feel like I'm in the trade. Because remember, we closed above here, so we changed our third. I took the trade inside the low area, and we'll see what happens. I have a feeling this is going to come right back to our red zone. This is going to be a good example here. So
the British pound and U.S. just did a little switch. The pound has gotten strong all of a sudden.
Yeah, and that's what's causing this thing to fall apart.
Yeah.
But I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to let it do its thing. And if I get stopped out, I'll be down here. This looks like a very nice area to enter. I'm going to be going ahead. I'm getting ready to have a secondary position. All my lines are in order, although the green one is pointing down, so it's still a pull back to me. There's nothing freaking me out. I would love for this morning to show you the power of this red line. Although it's not really the line, it's just price action. I have a feeling we're going to dig down just a little bit, though. And we'll see what happens. Looking at so this one's going to be a little bit of a loss at this point, 8 pips. But we're almost to our target on the other one. So let's put the spread is about 2 on this particular platform for this thing. So it's going to be dig in before it gets me filled. Did anybody in the chat box, anybody been taking trades along with us in your demo account? Or even in your live?
Or live.
Any trades, anybody.
Can I get a bid from that?
You can tell we're a little giddy this morning.
It's Friday.
Make sure you tip your waiters and waitresses this morning.
Right.
My 4th graders always say, give us a tip. All right, don't drink your bathwater. That's the tip I always give my 4th graders.
Don't plant your corn early.
That's helpful.
I always give everybody. Or no, it is plant your corn early. Look, I even gave the wrong tip.
Yeah, you're not Southern enough to say that.
Well, that's the good plant it tip, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Plant your corn early. Here you go.
But don't plant don't bottle can your cucumbers early.
Yeah.
That's Al's forte.
Yeah, that's Al's job. It's like as one of my phrases I say a lot, I catch myself saying it quite a bit, is I'm as lost as a ball in high grass.
And yeah, he said that yesterday after the session. When the two of us were in the room, I thought I was going to split a gut.
Yeah, that's
It was so funny. I'd never heard that before.
That's one of my golf phrases, and it comes more relevant because I play so much. Man, there's been some courses. I played some tough courses where the rough on just on the edge of the fairway, I couldn't find my ball. And then there's other times where I actually earned that right to go looking.
Do you know when you said ball, I thought you said bull yesterday, and I'm like, wouldn't the bull be taller than the grass?
And there's another picture of age.
No, that's your southern drawl, my friend.
Do I sound that bad?
Sometimes.
I tell you what, my wife, of course, my last name being White, she's a kindergarten teacher, and I have to go in there and correct the students because she says, my name is Mrs. White, and it's not White. That's 2 syllables.
It's like Wyatt.
Yeah, it's almost exactly what it sounds like. Yeah. No, kids, no, it's the color. It's not white. And these kids go, by the time they get to 4th grade, hi, Mr. White. I'm like, well, what are you talking about?
Like Wyatt Earp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's look and see what we got over here while this one's doing nasty stuff to us.
British
I
US
still do.
is just taking off. It's just reversing positions here. I don't know if it's going to continue or not, but it's right now it's in the supply zone.
Okay, so picture has changed across the board for this one on the euro pound. So we go ahead and take our loss smaller than, and it may still work out in the long run, but we can always get back in later if we so choose. So we close the position. Instead of risking 15, we lost a little 9, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And then I've got a little bitty position. I'm going to keep that one just because this thing could flip back. It's a better spot than my first initial entry. Remember that first entry was very, very small to begin with. And really what I want to do to save pips, because the structure is changing, I'm going to move my stop. This is the area. This is where this supply and demand tool for me becomes really, really handy. Along with the fact that if we can close, I can move my fib and see where we're at. If we close below here, it's changing the picture because I'm long. But let me show you what it does for me. See where my stop's at now? It's below the 76. That this still could be an area to buy if the Hercules tool and some other factors come into play. This is just a very strong pullback. It very well could bounce and go. So what I'd like to do is honor this little supply zone here. It looks like our demand zone, it says 85.31. So I'm just going to go to 85.29 or 28. Save some pips. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm not, great. It's just another small loss. Not a big deal. And that leaves me a little bit less stress. This is the one I really have focus on. This one I may want to ride a little bit. I've got some limit orders down here, but I really think I want to move my targets. And you're allowed to do that, especially if you're monitoring it. I wouldn't get in too much of a habit of doing that, but just the fact that this structure looks like it does, and our power grid still seems to be favoring the U.S. against the Aussie across the board. This tells me that this very well could just get through this demand zone and really fall apart. So I'm looking for my blue limit, and I'm going to just pull that one down just a tad into here and grab some extra pips if I can. If it comes down to my zone and it looks like it's not going to respect it, then go ahead and take the profit off manually. But I'm going to trail this thing a little bit today since we're in session today. And see what happens. We almost cleared this thing out. We were just about 2 pips from clearing this completely out and making a hole, but we did have a close on the 15 below. So our game look has changed a little bit. We're down here now. And there again, we have clear air. All of our moving averages are in the right direction. This one played out real well earlier today. You can see I had profit through here too. It's been playing nicely. But I'd really like to see an extended candle kind of blast through that area and then do retracement. I want to make sure that this above the 76 instead. That structure looks a little bit better. And if it does start slowing down and changing, just take your profit. And what I could do for this is potentially get, a 15, 20 pip trade while I'm monitoring. I wouldn't want to leave it alone like this. But while I'm monitoring and while I'm using Hercules and everything's in order and the stars are aligned and everything's in order, just let it ride. Let your winners win and run. Cut the losers short. Now, with that being said, now I'm moving my stop. I'm going to go to 38, which is just above this extension line. Why 38? Because the spread's 2 at this point, and I could put 39 to give it that one extra, but I'm not going to worry about that kind of precision. But save money where you can. And then just wait. Let's see what we got. We got anything going on with the Hercules, Al? Nothing major. Looks like the pound euro is just going the wrong way.
Well, yeah, but it looks like it may have hit into a supply zone. So right now, I was looking at the British U.S. and it sort of flipped, but now it's flipping back to the strength of the dollar again. So I think that may have just been a really strong pullback, and we'll see. But right now, I did get stopped out of my first position, but I took another position right at that supply zone. And even though I got stopped out, I just let that stop happen. I went back in with a very tight stop now.
You talking about a demand zone or supply?
Supply. Well, it went up to a supply zone, but it still looks like it has pressure to the downside. The U.S. still seems to have strength.
Are you looking at U.S.? Which pair are you looking at?
I'm looking at I was looking at the U.S. British U.S. But it seems like the euro is kind of following the same. The dollar is still strong on the 30-minute and 5-minute time frame. The dollar is still the strongest of all the 8 pairs. So, but it did have the British did have a strong pullback. The euro looks like is giving up the strength. So it looks like the euro is going a lot weaker now. So if you're in the U.S., U.S., are you in? Which one are you in? Euro?
I'm in the euro pound.
Euro pound is...
Which that's why I got out of it.
Yeah, the pound is kind of right in the middle of it's stronger to the middle, but yeah, I wouldn't. That's not. It's still favoring the euro to the euro pound, but it's still favoring the pound to the euro pound to the short side.
There's your. That's a nice. When you get a zone like this, the 50 to 23, that's a pretty good solid. Now we're wanting to be what, long on this? You said
the U.S. dollar is a strong pair,
so it should be coming down, but there's nothing telling me I want to be short this yet.
Yeah.
If I was going to be short this, I would be getting short at 38.25,
which was right about where that supply zone was, which is where I got stopped out just below that, and I took another short right at that.
That's where I would get in it.
Yeah,
right now I wouldn't, because you're sitting on top of this demand tool.
Yeah, I'm going to just go for just try and recover some of the just recover some of my stop that I got stopped out of. But right now it's working in the right direction. The dollar has gained strength again, so I think that may have just been a really strong pullback.
This zone is the one I'm worried about for any short. Is that 37.88, because it's sitting right on a fib. And it's nice green. It means it's never been touched. It's below the 23. This is, if you're going to go counter, that would be where I would do it. I don't do counter trades, but that would be. Notice the other demand zone sits right at the extension. If we pulled our retracement down, you would see that this is a very same picture as this one right here. So there's some personality you can see inside of the pound US in many cases. Where would I be short? Obviously, this would be my conservative. This would be my area up here. So right now here in the middle, because this is demand. Now, if this wasn't here, I'd be going short right now. But this is here. And so we have to respect it. But if I had to guess that maybe if it came back to 61, if I could get 7 out of it, that would be 10. So it would be this little movement right here. So if it was just a little higher up, I would get in to give me my 7. Because really this price right here has gone all the way down to 3,800. So I would expect, even if it's just a 70 or 98, just a little bit lower and grinding it out, that would be still plenty of 7 pips. So right now, this green zone, in my opinion, is just this lower portion, which is what you got to respect at the 38.02. But I'm just a little late to the game on this candle.
Yes, it's right. That British US is right at a critical point right now. If this area where it is right now holds, it's probably going to go up higher.
I would agree, just by looking at the structure of it. With a little luck. Dadgummit.
Dadgummit.
But it's still
I know.
It's still showing a 3-point spread on the US to the downside on the 15-minute chart. And it's still showing strength across on the 1 minute. So right now it still looks like it wants to go down. And we're starting to get the moving averages to start crossing on that 1 minute chart.
Another potential trade is the Euro US. I'm looking now, since it's staying this way, I'm going to come back over here, take another small loss, because there's no reason for me to stay in this trade. Everything is kind of going the other way, even though it's stalling. So I take another small loss. But I'm looking at this Euro US because it looks 7-2, 7-1.
To the short side.
No, to the long side. Or not Euro. Yeah, Euro US to short. My bad. I was thinking it was flipped over the other side. You are correct, Amundo. Euro US. Let's see if I can pull that one up. Maybe we can get a trade. Oh, yeah. This will be a market order to start. This is where my aggressive piece comes in. No wick, past the previous pivot low. Doesn't look like there's anything in the way. Once it loads up, I will get a small position in. We're professionals. Don't try this at home. Actually, you want to try it at home.
On demo.
On demo.
Over and over and over again.
And I'm going to fix this up just like that, just close enough.
The key with demo is trade demo till you can be profitable in demo. And once you start getting the consistency in that, then go with very small lot sizes in live. So that way you get to start working the emotional part. Right? With the demo, you work the technical aspect, you work the platform integrities, and you just get used to using the platform, using the indicators, using the methodology that you're working with. Once you get that to where you have a certain degree of consistency, then go to live. Don't spend your entire time in demo because you're missing the emotional part. And one of the worst things about demo is you say, "Oh, let me just try this and see what happens," because then you start tuning your brain to thinking that that's the way. Worst thing that can happen is take a bad trade and win, because your brain is saying, "Oh, that works," and when it really doesn't. And so, like Brian would say before, is now just trade for candy bars. Once you get some candy bars and you get your count up,
get your
hamburger. Then you go for the steak dinner, and then you go for the mortgage, and so forth.
So when we're coming into here, I'm going to, my entry's at 17.95. I want to put another, if you look to the left here, this key price right here, it seems to be 1800-ish. I must call it 1801. I'm going to go ahead and put a larger order to short. So I had a 10 on the first one. I think I'm going to put 50 here. So I'm scaling in with a little bit better trade. My first one's usually so I can feel better. My second entry is usually the one I really think is going to do what it's going to do. And then my third is pretty much my extension, my way out. This is as far as I go. This would be my third area back here, but I'm not so sure we're really going to get that far. It's that 50 line. So maybe the 1813 put a secondary into the final entry in, but I don't think we're going to get that far. I would be shocked. At top of the hour, Eva, if you'll be ready to go with your analysis of the indices and stuff.
Anytime you're ready. I'm not doing anything until I can show everyone what I'm doing. So
yeah, just have your charts up ready to go.
Oh, always. Yeah. I never take them down.
He makes it sound like we pay attention to what he's doing.
Yeah. And see, again, this is like an anomaly going on right now. It's really weird because Al's never funny. And he's hammered me now twice. It has to. It must have to do with you having the host thing in front of you. So.
The day off yesterday did him well.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm just saying, in this room, Hawkeye should be our phrase. It should be Hawkeye, equal opportunity offenders.
That's it.
If you're here, be prepared to be hammered.
Such a good slogan.
Yeah, it really is. I really kind of got that slogan from my wife's driving. The School of I say, join the Kim White School of Offensive Driving.
Drive offensively, not.
Oh my God! Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Well, maybe Al's humor is pepped up because he drove hours with two kids
oh my
in the car.
God! Oh my God! It was the kids were great. They really were.
It was your wife that was bad, huh? Is that what you're getting?
No, she was good. She was actually good because the kids kept her occupied. But it's amazing. I could go and I could fly people around hundreds of people around the world, and no one ever told me anything. But I can't drive across town with her telling me how to drive.
Yeah, exactly.
You can fly a jet in the air, but you cannot drive a car on the ground.
Well, there's too much traffic on the ground. I guess
That's exactly what I've been told too. I said, you're telling me, because if I fly little things, and they'll say, you can't drive, Dad, you can't drive. And I said, I can fly a plane. Well, there's no traffic up there. I said, oh yeah, there is. You just got to be aware of it. This thing may work out.
The drive that normally takes us 5 hours took us 7 hours because there was a major wreck on the Interstate 85 yesterday.
Ooh.
Check the news. There was like seven vehicles. One was at least a semi, and it shut both lanes of the interstate down for about 3 hours. And then it was 9:30. It happened 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and 9:30 last night. It was only down to one lane on each side.
Wow.
It was a
Hope
mess.
there were no fatalities.
There were 3 confirmed.
Oh, God bless them.
We actually had a tornado yesterday, touched down not too far from here.
Man, everything's crazy right now. You got heat wave up in the northwest. We haven't had 100-degree day yet. Right this morning it was 76 when I went outside. Normally we're already around 83 to 84. And it was nothing. I mean, it's just weird weather. Just weird.
Yeah.
Don't say it's global warming.
Yeah, in the wrong spots.
Looks like we just had a nice little pullback, and now it's starting to. It's this British U.S. It did pull back about halfway, but now looks like it's starting to trend up higher. Everything's starting to flip over. I did hit that little supply zone. It's going to go up, test that. If it breaks that through, it's going to go up higher to probably around the 138.41 area.
You're saying pound U.S.?
Pound U.S. Yeah.
Well, they're tight across the Hercules tool.
Yeah. They're trying to. The British is starting to take control of the direction. Hasn't quite made it yet though, but it's just it could be going sideways for a good part of the day now.
We're good with our our Euro US trade and our US Aussie. Those two are still, everything picture wise is still doing really good. Ooh, okay, so we moved a little through. Now this is gone now. This will be out of there. And why it's not taking, okay, so I see what's doing now. We're out. Entry limit. Here's my short. It's going to come up possibly. I love this. I wish it wouldn't have wicked up too much. I wish it would have closed and then came up. That's all right. This tells me right here we're still having an opportunity. Looks good there. And then let's look at this one. Then I'll monitor these while we dive into a little bit of our indices and gold if you have it, just to look at it. All right. Any questions about Forex, guys, before we flip over to that for a short time? If not,
let's do it.
Looks like I'll just monitor these and your screen at the same time. I'll stop my sharing. We'll jump over to something that looks a little bit different. These aren't going to change real quick, I don't think so. We're not going to miss anything. If something does, we'll just mention it. It's all yours, Eva.
Okie doke.
And remember, while she's pulling that up, the Aussie US, we're just looking to break finally through that demand zone. That's all we're trying to do. Yeah, there you go. I can see you.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the UK 100 and the German 30 first. only because their market is going to close out a lot sooner. Ours hasn't even opened yet, but anyway. So
And Eva, just to refresh, the UK 100 is correlated with,
the British pound,
and the German.
Germans with the euro.
Awesome. Thanks,
Okay.
babe.
So what I do is my trades are all on the 5-minute chart. So I look at the 5-minute first to see if I want to dive deeper into that particular indice or index. So what I'm actually looking for, I trade basically by looking at the moving averages. So for me, my green moving average is the 5. The next one is the 13, which is the yellow. Then comes the 34, which is this teal color one, I guess. The blue is the 62, and the 200, the granddaddy of them all, is the pink one. So in this particular case, they are in the exact order that I need them to be in for me to be a little bit interested in looking at this. I don't really like how this is kind of close together, but I am seeing that this is now crossed over. The 62 has crossed beneath the 200, which confirms even better that there could be a short in the making. Now, just to remind you guys all that this is scalping. This is a scalping strategy that I have. And so I don't really look at high time frames much. My high time frame is the 15. So, or high time frame. But sometimes I will have a look at like the hourly just to check it out, okay? And the hourly is showing the same type of movement. So I'm pretty confident with that. The 15-minute is the same. I mean, they're still moving, they're still getting themselves into position, as you can see, but all in all, everything's in the right order. So the first thing I'm going to do is I can see that this is in a downward motion. The momentum, as Brian calls it. So the momentum is towards the downside. So I'm going to draw my Fibonacci line on the M15 right here. And the reason I do that is because my teal line, the 34 that goes through the middle of it all, that's my line to determine where I'm drawing from and where I'm drawing to. So I'm looking, because I'm going from top to bottom, I'm looking for the highest point for candle closes above as you're looking to the left. Once it crosses below and the candles close below, as in down here, anything higher than this over on to the left of the chart is totally disqualified. So this is the top, and you're always moving towards the way the momentum is going, and this is the bottom. So what I do with this is just information for me, is all it is. So it just keeps in mind for me where I am in the larger scheme of things when I drop down, pardon me, to my lower time frames. So I just mark these 3 areas, the 61.8, the 50, and the 38.2 on the higher time frame fib. And then I just get rid of the Fibonacci. I don't need it on there. It's just kind of a guide, just something that I just do to kind of be aware of where I am in the big scheme of things. So now we've determined, and looking at this, mind you, this is crossing over. So what I will do though is I will draw my fib, and the same thing applies. Highest point closing above the teal, lowest point below the teal. So now what we're waiting for here is the drawback. So that's what it's doing right now, or retracement, I guess, if you want to call it that. That's what it's doing right now. So I always trade the retracements. So, or pullbacks, I guess Al calls them. So it's pulling back, and to me, an ideal pullback, a valid one, has to be at least to the 23, but ideally it's one of these 3 lines. And coincidentally, the 15 and the 5-minute are exactly in the same places right now. So, or not coincidentally, whichever way you want to look at it, right, Brian? But anyway, so
It just happens to be working out.
it just happens to be working out. So I'm just waiting. This, I consider this to be valid because it has closed above the 23. So I won't take the trades yet because I need these to cross over, but I am going to monitor it. And I use an RSI, and my RSI, the settings on it is 3, like that's the period is 3, and 89 and 11 are the levels. So the RSI, I can
And
see.
I placed that in the chat for everybody so they would know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I can see that it wants to flip down, and that's good. That's good. So let's wait for this to cross back over because I need it to be in the right order for my trading. So let's jump over to the German in the meantime and have a look at what it's doing. As you can see, it's also kind of moving in the same way. It's kind of hard to see the green because of this green zone right here, but the green is still below the yellow. This is in the 5. So this is something I'm interested in looking at. So let's go to the 15. Okay, everything is in the proper order: green, yellow, teal, blue, and pink. So this is also downward. There's no zone up here, but that doesn't bother me at all because I don't trade by the zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my fib line, and because there's downward momentum, I'm going to draw it from top to bottom. Again, I'm going to put in my 61.2, my 50, and my 38.2, 61.8 rather, and 38.2. Okay, and then I'm just going to get rid of this guy. Now, if you guys have any questions as I'm going, just let me know. Okay, now I'm going to drop down to the 5 minute. So again, let's draw the fib because none of these candles closed above this teal line. I'm going to start from right here. And I'm going to take it, well, I guess this is kind of the lowest point. So it's, actually, it's already done the pullback, hasn't it? Now it wants to come downward. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set a trade on this guy because it's already retraced over the 23. As you can see, we just happened to miss it. And that's okay because it's still kind of doing its thing. And that's fine. The RSI is pointing down. So what I like to do is I like to set sell stops and buy stops instead of doing market entries. It, first off, in a case like this, where this is kind of close, too close for me to really like it, it gives it enough time to work its way out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it right below this zone, which is between the 0 and the 23 on the, what do you call that? Do you call that an overshoot, Al?
Yes, I would be. I would.
Yeah. So it's, all righty. Let's try that again. So I'm going to put it there. So it comes down right below this zone. Once it works its way through, I'm good. Now on the German 30, I tend to go for a $5 movement from where I get in. So my take profit is going to be 15576.86. I'm very precise with it. So it's a $5 move, and as you can see, it's a very small move. But depending on what your size is, actually, I'm going to change that. Let me just get rid of that. I opened a new account for the purposes of showing you guys. I opened a new demo account for $1,000. So I'm going to, let's make this a 0.05. And now I'll place that again. And the reason I put 0.05 is because basically for every $100 in your balance, you can do a 0.01. Now, realistically, I could do a 0.10, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to just leave it at that in case I want to place another one. That way, if I've got a couple going at once, I'm not getting all freaked out over if it goes negative. So now I'm just going to adjust this. Okay. I'm just going to move this down just a wee touch. So there's my sell stop. So now I'm just going to wait. And now I'll mention to you about my take profits are very tight. The fact that this index it's a 5-digit, it's 15,000 some odd dollars. For it to move $5 is not really going to take a whole lot. It really isn't. So the chances of it hitting target once it engages are generally pretty high. Of course, it's not going to happen all the time, but it's generally pretty high. So now if you hover over this, you can see what your profit's going to be. So I'm just under $30 in profit on this at a 0.05 on a $1,000 account if it hits target. So I'm just going to leave that one for now and see what it's doing. It still seems to be doing its retracement, so it's not quite done yet. That's okay. It can do whatever it wants because I've placed my order down here. If it doesn't engage, it doesn't engage. All I have to do is delete this. Nothing that, so I'm not concerned. Whereas if I would have jumped into it on a market execution, then I'd be having to deal with all this heat, and I'm not good with heat. Al's good with it. I am not. So it's all your personal style. So let's look at this guy again. All right, well, he's still doing the same thing here. So he's still not really moving forward much. So let's carry on. And now I'll just go through and start looking at the US ones. Okay, so you've got the NASDAQ. Now, it's all going the way I want it to. And on the 15-minute, this is starting to cross over a little bit for some reason. So I'm not sure if it's getting ready to come down or what it's doing, but that's okay. I'm still going to go ahead and draw my fib and just get it ready just in case. Okay, so in the case of this, you can see where my teal line is. That's the 34. This one here, it actually closed. It closed it's hard to say where it closed on this. Hang on a minute now. And maybe you can help me out here, Al, for a minute, because I'm looking at it because it's green. Does that mean that it's a bearish candle, but it went up? It closed up top?
Yes.
Okay, so that did not close below the line. It started below the line, is how it looks. Or did it?
Yeah, that's assuming that you're.
It started above the line, broke below the line, and then if your close is just below your light aqua.
Okay, so it did close below.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine. So I'm going to use this one. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, I could have used this down here, but to stick to my strategy, I'm going to use this one and see what it gives me, just to keep everything the same. So that's fine. And this is only for drawing in the lines for my edification anyways as I'm going through. So it's not like it's really affecting where I'm going to get in the trade or anything like that at the moment. So, all right. Okay, so that's the 15. Let's shoot down to the 5. That looks better that way, doesn't it? So, okay, so now it's obviously in an upward. Oh, look, it's going pretty quick to get in there. Draw your fib. All right, and it's already done the drawback, or the pullback rather, to over 50. So that's good. So I'm going to set, so I can realistically expect it to actually hit the 50. The only thing I don't like is that this the zone is here, but it seems to be moving rather well. So I'm still going to go outside of the zone to place my buy stop. And I'm going to modify this. Again, it's because it's it's like a $15,000 index. Again, I will make my take profit $5 move away. Hang on a moment. Let's change this. Okay, so we want to do that. Let's do you again. Okay, buy stop is in. Go down a bit. Set my take profit. 14857.36. Okay, so this is going to be my trade if it gets up. But you see what I've done, the reason I put it up here is I don't have to wait for it to meander around and go through all of this zone here, because it'll take a lot longer to get through the zone. Everything is pointing that it's going to go up and that it will get through. I just don't like being in a trade for that long while I have to watch it kind of noodle around for a while. So I've got that one there, and now I've just set it, and now I'm just going to see what it's going to do. And then just go through the other ones and check them. This one, I mean, it's okay, but again, it's going through this thing here, so I'm not going to set another one just like it at the moment. The S&P is also kind of doing the same thing. I could probably set the S&P, except right now I'm so unsure of what it's doing, because yesterday it was going down, down, down in the short term, and now it's going back up. And even though the momentum is an upward trend as defined by the moving averages, I don't know if I'm going to do that one. Okay, this one seems to be moving along. Okay, there we go. See, this is the UK 100. This one seems to be coming along. So what I'm going to do with this guy is I will set one down here, probably right in this little zone here. But with the UK 100, I'm only going for a $2 move. So it's not really a big deal, but sometimes even if there is a zone here, it'll kind of wick right into it. So I'm going to set a sell stop. And again, I'm not getting into these trades until it gets me into these trades. So these are just things that I'm setting up, and I'm hoping it's going to fall into it. So, and if it doesn't, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? So 9.5. Okay, now I only do a $2 movement on the UK 100 because I have found through the many of them that I've placed that it will generally hit the $2. It may get to a $3, $3.50, and then it'll turn around and go the other way. So I want to get out of it long before it decides to change its mind. So that's why I do that. So now this is so close here. You might be wondering why I took it. It's so close that I figure by the time it gets down to where my trade is set, it's going to right itself so that the green will be under the gold one. And if you'd like, we'll have a look at the gold as well. See what's going on there. I know everybody likes gold. Well, it's kind of got the cross. Right now, it's kind of hard to say what it's going to do. This is showing that it was coming down. Now it's going up. And this is on the 15-minute. This almost looks like what a 1-minute chart looks like on the indexes. But, whoa, look at that. But again, it's all jumbled up. I mean, this looks fantastic and it could keep on going, but it might not. So it's hard to say which way to get in. So right now I won't touch it. I won't touch it until it's a little bit more definitive of what it's going to do. And the gold, I generally do use the 1 minute, only because it moves so ultra fast and it changes direction so quickly that I want to see minute by minute what it's doing. And I will never jump into it while it's doing something like this. This is what they call catching a falling knife. You can really hurt yourself bad by getting in. So, for example, I could get in right here thinking, oh, wow, look at, based on that candle, it's a strong move. The zone's up here. This is pointing up. This guy is up here. And then he could just, this could be just waking out and coming down again like that. So, you know, that's why you have to be absolutely certain of your trade before you get into a gold. And never go for more than $2, a $2 movement. That gives you 20 pips. If you need to, close it down, redraw quickly and set it again if you want to. I mean, you know, I don't anyways. You can do whatever you like, but I found that the tighter my take profits are, the more profit I end up with at the end of the day, only because I keep securing profits as they come to me.
Excuse me, Eva?
Yeah.
You have a question in the chat. Is there a specific time of day you are the most effective with this strategy? I imagine London for the UK and German and New York for the US and NAS.
Pretty much. The London and the German one, I find that the best times for me, I'm Eastern Standard, that's where I'm located. So the best times for me is maybe around 10 a.m., between 10 and 11 before it closes, or even 9 to 11 is pretty good. Even this time is good because the session, they're still in session, right? The London is still in session right now. So anything that has to do with European currencies, it's still going to be moving. Like it's still going to do its thing, and I have been profitable. Like even during our sessions when I've placed them for myself as we're going through. But I find that right before it closes, that last 45 minutes, like say 10:15 to 11 o'clock, that's when they both tend to move a little bit more. The London, the UK 100 more so. Now the rest of them, the US ones, again, I mean, it's when the US is open. However, I always find the S&P, for example, does huge moves overnight when the US market isn't even open. So, and I only know that because I've got some S&P trades that I'm trying to get out of. And I think, okay, it's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down when I go to bed because I have a sell on there. And I wake up in the morning and it came nowhere near where my sell take profit was, and turn around went up quite high. So, you know, I guess in answer to your question is yes. While the corresponding market is open, there's more volatility, there's more movement, but they still tend to move even when the markets are closed, because around the world people are still doing whatever it is they do that moves the markets. So I hope that answered your question for you. But like the S&P, look at that. I mean, it looks really nice, but it's moving slowly. Again, it's moving slow because the market's not even open yet, but it's still moving. So, okay, now the NAS 100. Yeah, it's slowly doing its thing, but again, it's got that same, it's that beautiful, like this is perfect formation for my strategy. It just looks beautiful. It'd be better if it was a little bit, I wonder if any of them are doing that, where it's a little bit on a higher angle going up, like this one is a little bit more that way. But that's the formation that I'm looking for. And this one's still just doing its weird thing. It doesn't know what it's going to do yet, the UK 100. So I'm still out of harm's way here. I mean, it's not like it's going to dip down here, take me into a trade that I don't want to be in, and then turn around and go the other way. If this decides to come down, it's really going to come down. It has to work to get to my trade. Let's put it that way. Instead of me working to jump in. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And the German, like, you know what? And if these don't turn out right now, and I just keep monitoring at this point. And if they don't turn out the way I want them to, then I just delete them and wait for them to actually do what I want them to do, and then set my trades again. It's like kind of setting traps, I guess, for hunters. But, and the gold still, it's starting to straighten out, but it's still not where I need it to be for me to, I mean, I can draw it up. You see how high this is going? Like the angle this is going up. So it tells me that it really does want to go up, but it's just not ready yet. And it's got these zones above, and the 200 is above. So at this point, it's just not ready yet. It might be in a few minutes, but I can keep my eyes on them in the meantime. And when it comes to cryptos, the spreads are far too big. I mean, look at the spread on that. This shows the spread between the buy and the sell. Like, it's ridiculous. It's the size of, it's bigger than this candle. You know, like, it's crazy. So you don't really want to be doing that unless you find one that's really small, which at this time of it's really not. Like, see, look at them all. The spreads on them are crazy. The weekends are good for crypto. But this is creeping up. So you know what? This might just hit the NASDAQ 100.
You're not in that trade yet, right, Eva?
I'm sorry?
You're not in that trade yet.
No.
You're still waiting for the break out of that zone, and then just come up and get your little target.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got my sell stop set right above that target. And if it breaks through that red, that's telling me it's got enough momentum that it will definitely, more than likely, not definitely, I can't talk in absolutes, but more than likely hit my zone. But another thing, guys, I don't take my eyes off my trade once it triggers. Like, I won't just walk away at this point. Because I see it's inching towards it. Once it triggers, I keep my eye on it. And then sometimes I will pop down to the 1 minute so I can see candle by candle what it's doing. And if I see, if it even gets up to this point, here's the red is my take profit. If I'm in, and it even say gets to this fib line here, this midway to my target, and it starts doing this kind of thing with little candles up and down, up and down, up and down, nothing definitive, I may close it out manually and not wait anymore for it and wait for a better setup. My whole modus operandi is I want to be in and out as quickly as it can be. So if it's messing around like this, I'll get out before it goes below. If I have a wee bit of profit, that's better than none. And then I'll just carry on looking for. You become like a hunter, like a bird of prey. You just kind of keep looking at everything and seeing, like, what's a good setup, what's a good setup, what's a good setup. And then you get in there, and every now and again you find a beauty. And like I've had trades where I'm in and out within 30 seconds, and to me that's an awesome day. So see, look at it, it's going the opposite way. It's going the complete. Did we just have some kind of?
I was saying there must have been some announcement that just happened, because it happened on the British US as well.
Yeah.
If I would have. Yeah, the announcement was at 8:30. Yes, you're right.
Did we check anything?
Yes, there were two red folders on 8:30. I forget, it was USD.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, see, if I would have jumped in that one as a market entry because it was fitting all my criteria, as far as the pullbacks and all that kind of thing, well, it would have done the complete opposite for me here. So that's why, to me, the buy stop and the sell stop, those are my friends. I just love them. I don't know what I've done without them, to be honest with you. Not to say every now and again I will get into a market, but it's got to be, in my estimation, 100%. and then I'll jump in it. But that is very rare. I'm usually setting these the buy stops and the sell stops, and I let the price come to me. So that's kind of how I deal with it. Now, I don't talk about stops. Well, I haven't talked about stops because I don't manually place stops on my, I don't put them on there. I know where I want to get out. Should this trigger, for example, and turn around and come the wrong way for me before it hits my target, then I'm starting to find that if my target is 500 pips away or $5 move, then my stop will more than likely be 15 the other way, or 10, yeah, 15 the other way, because I found 10 wasn't enough if it started to mess around a little bit. So I put it even lower, but so 15 would be around here. But if it's absolutely clear that there's no way, I may not let it get right to that stop, then I'll just pull the plug on it. But I don't actually set them. I'm like Brian, I have a distrust of brokers going around looking for people's stops. So I don't have one on there. But you have to be disciplined enough to pull the plug. When it starts going the opposite way, don't sit in it hoping it's going to go. Have in your mind what you're willing to lose. So in this case, if I'm willing to gain 25 bucks, I have to be willing to lose 75. And once it gets to that 75, no ifs, ands, or buts, you pull the plug on that baby. And that's it, you're gone. So now here it goes. It's starting to move up. Let's see if it has enough umph right now, even before the market opens, before it does anything. But anyways, any question about stops or anything like that?
The problem is once you get triggered, more than likely you have the momentum to get you triggered and get you out all within the same candle.
Yeah, and that's it with these small little moves. Like a $5 move is nothing. I mean, look at this thing, for example. Like this candle, let's get a smaller candle. The candle before, even this one here, if you look at it. I mean, that candle without the wicks is $3.50. So that's a $3.50 move. So I'm looking for a $5 move on this one. You tack the wicks in there. Okay, so let's just, so just shy of $5 in that tiny, tiny little candle. And most of them, as you can see, are a lot bigger than that. So within my 5 minutes before my candle even closes, I'm usually in and out. And that's why the small moves are so important. And you have to keep an eye on the size of the index that you're trading. Like I was saying earlier, a $5 move on a $15,000 index is really peanuts. Then you want to look at the UK. It's a $7,000. For me, as I said in my research and my trades that I've done with it, I find a $2 move, it can do that no problem. Once it gets over $3, it starts to struggle. And then it doesn't mean that it won't necessarily hit your target. It's just not going to hit it as quickly as I want it to, because I want to be in and out and move on to the next one. I prefer, if I'm going to get a profit, let's say of $5.53, I want to get that profit within a minute, not within 10 minutes. So that's what the difference is. So you put a $2 profit in there, or a $2 move in there for your take profit, and it hits it pretty fast, because it usually, as it starts dropping, it'll usually have enough momentum that it'll just, even if it wicks into it. Like this little doji here, let's just, for interest's sake, have a quick look at it. What is that? That's a $4 move. Just over $4, almost $5 move. This little tiny doji here. So you can get this $2, and that's, and don't forget your wicks. Your wicks are important. They're in there. So, and the thing about the indexes, I find that you can see like the spreads, they're almost non-existent. So they're really not bad. I mean, what is that spread? Like, we're talking cents here. What is it, like 50, 75 cents? Not even quite a
on the
dollar.
NASDAQ. Yeah, let me see if I can find that out for you real quick.
Okay.
US tick. Looks like the spread is $2, and right now it's at $3.
But it's not showing that here. It's showing like 75 cents between the sell and the buy.
That is US Tech, right?
Yeah.
This one is US Tech.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm showing a $3.30 move varying right now on that.
Isn't that funny? And yet here it's showing. And yeah. Okay, so I'm in. So I'm in the NASDAQ. So there it goes. So now I'm going to watch it. I'm going to shoot down to my 1 minute because I want to see the color of the candles as they open. And I generally sit here waiting to be able to close it if I have to. But right now it's still indicating to me that it's going to go up. Like all my moving averages are in the correct direction.
Excuse me, Eva?
Yeah.
You have a question. Someone would like to know, Christopher would like to know, how do you use your RSI for confirmation?
Well, right now I keep looking at it to see what it's going to do. You see, right now it's flattening out. So it tells me that it may want to pull back a little, which is normal. As you can see from this, it pulled back on the one candle and but it did end up going. So I use the RSI for that. It's my main thing is the MMAs and the FIB. But I do use my RSI, it's kind of like a little rudder for me. So I kind of look to see what it's going to do. Now, if this does a sharp turn down, well, right away, I'm shooting down to my 5 minute to see what it's doing on that. And if it's still not looking good, then I'll pull the plug on my trade. So that's kind of what I use it for. It doesn't help me to get into the trade, especially right now with the indexes. When we think things are overbought, they just keep making higher highs. So this is, again, it plays into the fact of find yourself a handful of indexes that you like to look at. In my case, it's the UK 100 and the German 30 are my favorites. And when the market is closed or they're not doing anything for me, then I'll go to the S&P, the US 30, and the NASDAQ, which is the three major indexes in the US. So, geez, I just lost my train of thought. I completely lost my train of thought. Isn't that wild? What was I saying? We were talking about the
Well, it couldn't have been
the
a
ones
senior.
like to use.
It couldn't have been a senior moment because you're not a senior yet.
not yet. I don't even know where I was going with that statement.
You were going with your indices and
we were talking about the RSIs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, so I basically just see, look at this one, it's starting to come down. So it wants to retrace a little bit. So I'm still going to stay in it.
Dollar's starting to get strong again.
Which one's getting strong?
The dollar's getting strong again. The euro's getting is about in the middle of the range for your. This is NASDAQ. So if the dollar's getting strong, that means it may start going down.
Okay, so if it gets below this yellow line here, then I will more than likely pull the plug unless this flips up. So that's kind of how I use the RSI. Is I kind of watch it. It's just another little indication to me of what may or may not happen. So, and because this is the 1 minute chart, it's as low as I can get and right close to the action of what's happening, basically, minute by minute. So see now it wants to go back up. So let's see if it can, and this is starting to flip up a little bit. So let me check my 5 minute. My 5 minute is, it's trying to move back up. And sometimes in the 15 minute is still showing up. So right now I'm okay. So I won't do anything with it. I'm just going to watch it. This looks like it was maybe just a little bit of a pullback, but we'll see. We'll see what it's going to do. But it's still looking pretty good on the upward motion. You see how, like on the 5 minute, this can mess with your head. Looking on the 1 minute can mess with your head because you're looking at it, you're thinking, oh boy, look at that. But on the 5 minute, it's still looking straight up. So I'm still good to go. We just have to wait and see what it's going to do. And again, because the market isn't open yet, it's not going to move as quickly as I'd like it to, but that's okay. So let's leave that for a minute. Let's see.
Eva, you have a question on the UK 100.
Read it.
Yeah, Pia doesn't understand the trades you put on the UK 100. So if you can just go through it.
What part don't you understand?
That you have a sell, but you're in the green zone.
Yeah. Okay, let me shoot back to, was this the one that was in the red zone that went through the red zone?
Yeah, that was in the red zone there.
This was in a red zone. And you see how as it moved up, it went through the red zone? I am anticipating that this will eventually come through this green zone. That's why it's not a market entry. I will not put a market entry if there's a zone in the way. If this starts coming down enough to hit my trigger my trade, that means it's strong enough to blow through this zone. So I'm quite confident putting this here. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But right now, all my indicators and just everything I'm looking at tells me that once it starts moving down, it will blow right through this zone, trigger my trade, and have enough momentum behind it to, if nothing else, wick into this. Does that make sense? Okay, there I took profit. So there I hit my target. Where was it? I hit my target. There you go. And that didn't take very long. So yeah, Pia, this one here. So you see this one, I just have to wait and see. So it's got, here's the RSI pointing down. So it's telling me it wants to come back down. But you know what? I just kind of have to wait and see what it gives me. If I go to the 1 minute, oh, I don't like how that looks. Does it show a different picture at all? Yeah, the 1 minute, see, I don't really like how the 1 minute's looking, but because this is what I call a pretzel formation and the moving averages, because they're all intertwining in each other. But you see now this is starting to move down. So, and guys, once it starts moving down, these things will adjust themselves if it's meant to be. So I'm far enough away with my set trade that the moving averages will adjust themselves if it comes down. But there's definitely no buy here, but there's a potential sell, and that's why I have this set. Does that make any sense, Pia? Okay, now this guy here, see, this one's really not doing a whole lot of anything.
She said yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So this one here is, it's in the zone and it's fighting to get out of it. So it's really not doing a whole lot of anything. For now, I'm just going to leave it because, again, this isn't hurting anybody by being here. It's not triggered. And again, if it breaks through this zone, then it's got enough momentum behind it that it's actually going to hit my target. That's, I would have to say 90% positive of that. Doesn't mean it will, because it won't, doesn't always. There's, as Brian says, there's no secret sauce. It's just patience and analyticals. So, I mean, it looks like it wants to come down, and that's great. Let's see the US 30. See, the US 30 is moving up too. I mean, we could just, have I got time to draw this one out? Oh my
Sure,
goodness.
sure. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me draw this one out. From here to here is the 15-minute. Okay, and you can see it's in an upward motion because it's just so beautiful the way that, I don't know, I just love looking at it.
Excuse me, we're on the 5.
Oh, right, okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So I can draw the 15. Actually, I like this even better down here. So I'll draw the 15. Move this out here so I can grab it afterwards. Sorry guys if this looks a little bit wonky, but I'm just drawing in my am I going to be able to see this? You know what? I got to get rid of this other thing. I got to get rid of you. Okay. Okay, so let's get rid of you. Down to the 5. And I would say that this was the pivot high. You can see it retraced to the 50. So now I'm going to set a quick little trade. And I would have done this before as well, because I would have drawn it from here to here, pivot high to pivot, or pivot low to pivot high. So now it retraced and it's going up. I would have placed this trade anyways above this zone. That's in keeping with what I've been doing. And this is a $35,000 index. So again, I'm going just for a $5 move. And that's it. And in the grand scheme of things, look at the size of these candles. And that, mind you, I forgot to change this. That's okay. That $5 move, it doesn't really have far to go. So pretty good chance it's going to, if it triggers, it's going to hit my target. They had a 0.01, that's $5. So then we just see what it does. Yeah, I got to get in here and change all of these. I forget that I have a different account now. So that's it for that. I'm going to wait and see what it does. The NASDAQ, it triggered the UK 100. I don't know what it's going to do. I do expect that it will come down, but right now it's taking its time. And German 30, I expect it will come down as well, but it's still taking its time. Because you can see, let me just, I want to insert this rectangle. It just makes it a little bit easier to see when it's, what the candles look like. So you can see that the 5-minute and the 13-minute are very, very close. So if this starts moving down, even just to here, by then the green will have crossed over the yellow. The rest of them are all still in formation the way I want them to be. So I'm just going to leave this. I'm not touching this for now. And I just won't walk away from my computer. That's all. And when I'm ready to walk away and it still hasn't triggered, I just simply delete the set trade, and then I don't have to worry about it. But in the meantime, I've got one winning trade in, and I'm happy. I'm happy with that. What is that? 2.5% on my account.
It's your daily target.
Yeah. So I mean that's not too shabby. And of course, your lot size regulates your profits, but just be careful with that. You still have to be reasonable, because you know what? We're all tempted to put some big, huge thing. First off, your account balance may not allow it to happen. Your broker won't let you set it if it's too big, because your margin. But on the other hand, if it goes the opposite way, you have to be willing. Like in this case, I got my $25 less whatever fees, and I was willing to lose 75 for it to potentially go the wrong way. And there's two ways of looking at that. I mean, $75, all right, it's not a huge amount really on 1,000 if it happens once in a while. And the second way of looking at that, if I'm willing to lose $75, it's because I'm 90% sure I'm not going to. And that's all just from disciplining yourself and from doing your technical analysis, and pick a strategy and stick to it. Like, don't flip flop all over the place, because jack of all trades, master of none.
You know, another thing too is I think it's good. You know, everything has its own personality, and they trade consistently within that personality. And if you just pick a few pairs or indexes and just get really good at understanding how they kind of, you'll start getting a feel for, I call it, getting the feel for how they move, and that oftentimes helps you set your emotional stops into what you expect, because you've seen it over and over. It's as Matt would say, taking those volume of trades to get a feel for how the index works, or how the currency pair works.
Exactly. I'm 100%. I agree with that. And as I said, you know, these are my major 5 indexes, and I just get to know them intimately, and I'm good. Gold is another one. I've been trading that for a long time, and that's it. Like I rarely will touch a currency pair anymore, because I found what I'm better at, and I'm better trading the indexes and gold than I am currency pairs. The currency pairs hate me. I don't know why. they just do. But having said that, I do intend on getting back into trying them on demo and seeing if they've changed their mind about me. And they're going to like me now.
I'm sure it's personal.
It must be.
Clearly.
It's got to be personal. Oh, there she is.
No, what happens a lot of times though is that you have programmed your brain to adjust to the volatility and the movement of the indexes. I, on the other hand, have pretty much adjusted my brain to the currencies. And as you look at the price action, and you look at what your references are, you'll start becoming more comfortable. But you have to adjust your personality to allow for that factor. And just basically looking at what you're using for a reference. No, like Eva's using the moving averages. I use the moving averages and these Fibonacci zones. Brian uses some other things. We all have our own little idiosyncrasies about how we formulated our opinions about how to make the trades. And I said, as you're in these rooms, more and more you'll start picking up something that speaks to you, to your personality. It'll speak to your emotional, I call them the emotional inventory of what you're willing to risk and how comfortable you are with from what you see to what you're looking for. And that's just sort of the way it is. And we're setting a guideline. We're setting some some options for you to be looking at, and it'll be pretty much up to you to decide what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Oftentimes I'll see that Eva and I will be taking different opposite trades. She'll be going short, I'll be going long, or Brian and I the same way. But we can both become profitable based on our own criteria about what we're expecting, what we're looking for. And with that, we got about 4 more minutes. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Well, one other comment I will make about the gold is I do like to trade gold, and I've been trading it longer than I've been trading the indexes. However, gold can be very lucrative, but it can also lose your house if you're not careful. If you want to dive into the ocean, which is gold, have a healthy respect for it, because there's a lot of sharks in that ocean. So don't just go in there all cowboy, because I know a lot of people go in there just like mavericks, and they're losing money hand over fist. Just have a super healthy respect for it. It's the most volatile thing I've ever traded is gold. So
yeah,
again,
I don't generally trade. I don't trade gold myself.
yeah. So again, with gold, you definitely need to have really tight profit, like take profits, tight. I personally will take a $2 move at the most from entry point, and I will not go for any more than that. And that's 20 pips. I will not go for any more than that, unless the only difference being is if it's one big candle that's just going, then you know what, I may let it go for a little bit longer and then manually close it out. But generally speaking, no, a $2 move and that's it, because it switches up and down and back and forth. Like if you look at this, like it look at that, you look at that thing, oh wow, and you get into it down here, next thing you know, bang, and you're going up the other way, and then you're down, and then like it's just a roller coaster ride. If you like that sort of thing, fine. But if you don't, like I don't, go for the smaller moves, and you'll be fine with gold too. You just have to be vigilant. Like you take, just to give you a reference, this candle here is a $35 move, and that's from wick to wick now. So remember, now it could go up here and then it wicks down a few bucks, and right away you could start to panic or do whatever. And that's what I used to do, and think, holy smokes, that's really taking me into drawdown in the negative figures in a quick hurry, and then I'll get out before I lose any more money. Next thing you know, it's going back up again. So you just have to be super ultra careful with gold if you decide that you want to trade it. That's all I have to say about,
Yep.
Gold.
Well, I'd say right now it's about time to wrap it up. All I can say is today's Friday, at the end of the week. The institutions are taking their profits for the week. They've set their traps over the week. Now they're going to start harvesting what they get. So just be careful. Pay attention to the news announcements. And if you're profitable for the week, take the afternoon off and have some fun. And with that, we will see everybody on Monday morning.
Yeah.
Stay safe, stay green.
Be well. God bless.
Yeah. Have a great weekend.
Again, thanks everybody for coming in, and we love having everybody, and we value your questions and your comments, and see you Monday.